The views in the following program reflect those of the participants and not necessarily of Rogers or Rogers TV. Welcome to Mommy Talk. Today we're going to talk about some very special programs that are offered to our children. We have Rainbows for All Children Canada. Welcome. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
We have some really great guests today. We have Brenda Coburn. Welcome. We also have Karen Potts and we have Jessica Craig. So first we're going to talk about ourselves as moms. So Brenda, tell us a little bit about your family.
Okay, I'm a mother of two. I have a son who's 20 and a daughter 15, and I have a husband, Steve, and we live in the country, and
Nice.
we've been, I guess we've been there for 25 years, and
Very nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And Karen, tell us about your family.
I have a son and a daughter. My daughter's 28, my son's 31, and my husband's name is also Steve, and we also
Nice.
live in the country.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, and my daughter's been living in Australia for the last 4 years.
Wow, good
Luckily,
for her.
our son is close by. He's in the
Aw.
Markham area.
Very nice. And Jessica, tell us about your family.
I'm recently married and I have 3 stepkids. I have a 2-year-old stepson,
Very
a 5-year-old stepson, and a 9-year-old stepdaughter.
Wonderful, very good. And so also, we are also the experts here today. You are all from the Rainbows for All Children Canada programs. So Brenda, can you tell us what Rainbows is? Give us an overview of the programs.
Okay, well, Rainbows for All Children Canada, we're a program, a peer-to-peer support program for children and teens who are grieving a loss, any loss. It can be divorce, separation, incarceration, foster care, someone who is a family member who's gone to the military deployment. So it encompasses every loss.
Okay. And Karen, can you tell us a little bit about what you do at Rainbows?
Well, I'm the program coordinator here for the Collingwood program, and we run twice a year, fall and spring, 14-week programs each time, and we have children, teens, and parents, and their parents in our groups.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. So it's not just the children, you're helping the parents as well?
Yes, yeah, and the parents love it. It's not a criteria. The parents don't have to join the parent program if they don't want to, but most of them do join it.
Okay. And Jessica, can you tell us how you got involved with Rainbows?
My parents got divorced when I was 10, and so around 11, my mom saw fit that I needed some help, and as a stubborn 11-year-old, I didn't really want to go. I was in my own ways, thought I could figure it out on my own, and I loved it. I spent probably 5 years doing the program, and then I became a volunteer after that because I just loved it so much.
That's great. And so you were experiencing what kind of issues were you experiencing that led your mom to want you to be involved in programs?
My mom's very protective, and she was worried about the effects of my parents' separation and how
Right.
that was going to affect me growing up. And so she wanted me to have someone to talk to, but I refused to go to a counselor. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I wanted to deal with it on my own. I'm an only child. I really thought I had it all figured out on my own, and
Right.
turns out I didn't. But as a child, you
Yeah.
you think you can figure it out.
Yeah.
And so it was, why my dad wasn't around as much, or why I was only allowed to see him every other weekend, or, why when my parents started dating again, how to handle that. It was a lot more than any kid should have to handle on their own. So
Absolutely, and that's so important that we're going to get more into these topics, but that's so important that children have a place that they can go, someone to talk to about, like you said, any of these losses. So we're definitely going to get more into the different types of losses and how you guys can help them. So when we come back from the break, we're going to get more into this, and and then we're going to bring it around to the happy finale when children exit the program, and we're going to talk about the success of the programs. So we'll be right back on Mommy Talk. The views in the following program reflect those of the participants and not necessarily of Rogers or Rogers TV. Welcome back to Mommy Talk. Today we're discussing Rainbows for All Children Canada and the programs that they offer to children in need. So we're going to talk about how families can find rainbows. Brenda, can you tell us a little bit about the National Rainbows program?
Yes. Well, first of all, the national office is located in Barrie, here in Barrie. We look after 10 provinces across Canada. So the families will either, if they're not able to find the Rainbows program in their region, in their province, they'll contact us, and then I am the person that they do speak to, and then I will refer them to our registered director in their area. The families do not have to be referred. They can call in. I mean, we do have, family physicians and other organizations that can call on their behalf. But the wonderful thing about Rainbows is that the families can call.
It's a voluntary program.
It's a voluntary.
Join at any time that you feel a need.
Anytime, yes. And a lot of our registered directors are volunteers. They could be professional people who have retired, or someone of establishment in the community who can run the program. But they look after the region. But yes, so anyone can call the families can call the national office, and we'll support them.
Great. Yeah. Karen, tell us about our local Rainbows.
So I look after Rainbows locally in this region. And we do get a lot of referrals from Rainbow's head office, because someone is called in to that number and then they get referred to me that way. But I also get a lot of referrals directly. People call directly. And the number to call is 446-2178. I think it's going to be on the screen.
Yep.
And so families are recommended by teachers, principals, their counselors, therapists, their lawyers, their family doctor. There's many different ways that people can find out about Rainbows, and I think most of our referrals are from people who have been through the program. Right.
Yeah, like Jessica, you said you'd been through the program. You mentioned that in the beginning. How big is the region, by the way? Just what your region specifically?
It's the Georgian Triangle.
Georgian Triangle. Okay, perfect. And so, Jessica, tell us a little bit more about the loss that you experienced as a child and why you got into it.
So my parents divorced when I was 10, and it was a hard blow for me. My parents were always very solid. To me, this was very out of the blue. I coped with it the best you can at 10 years old. I mean, there's only so much you can do at 10. My parents were very good apart for the most part that I saw at that age, but it was still hard. My dad started dating. My mom was going through her own problems. She had been with my father for X amount of years, and I think the strain on the adults puts more strain on the kids. And what is great about Rainbows is that sometimes as a kid, your parents are in the middle of it. You can't go to them. You can't. It's hard to say
they're struggling themselves.
Exactly. Mommy or daddy is having a problem with mommy or daddy, and they don't know how to deal with that. And parents, I don't think ever mean to, but sometimes they will say things that unfortunately come back as being bad on the other parent. And most of the time parents don't, but it's hard. So as a kid, it's nice to have somewhere to go where nobody, the people you're talking to don't care whether your dad was the one at fault or your mom was at fault, or if everything's bad because of daddy or mommy. They don't care. They don't. It's about making sure you're okay.
And sometimes the parents don't, sometimes the parents don't realize that is a loss. Like, people don't get that, they think, oh, well, they still have their mom and dad, but that's a loss. They've lost that family unit, right?
It's very hard for parents to admit that something they've done in their lives is affecting their children negatively, and nobody wants that. So they're trying to make this process a positive thing. However, there are negative aspects that if you don't address or talk about, they just turn into deep rooting issues within a child that grow later.
And it's a safe place too, because the calls I get from families or families who have gone through the program to call us to say thank you so much. Their children would come home and say, Mom, Dad, this is a safe place. I can talk. It's confidential. It does not leave the room. They have a voice. They have a place to have a voice.
Just to clarify, so is it a one-on-one counseling service? Like what exactly is it? Like
No. It's normally it's participants from 3 to 5 children. So peer
it's
to
a
peer
group.
is that
Okay.
they thrive peer support. So they thrive off each other. And maybe Karen, you can elaborate because she
Yeah.
actually runs the
Yes.
program.
Okay.
So-
I do.
Yeah, so Rainbows is not counseling or therapy.
Oh,
But it
okay.
is very therapeutic.
Right,
Because it's a
yes.
support group.
Yes.
And the children learn from each other. They find out they're not alone.
Right.
They learn coping strategies. They hear other children's stories. And also we follow the program, which helps them open up and share. A lot of it is sharing their feelings.
Yeah.
And not holding it all in.
because sometimes that would be hard if you're a child and you go to school and you see other children that are seemingly happy and don't have problems. It'd be hard to like relate, right? So like
No.
this is a place that they can relate to other children with the same issues,
Yes.
right? What other kind of losses do you deal with? So we've touched on divorce. What other kind of losses?
Well, military families actually right now, we have many military resource families across Canada that we have the Rainbows program. Actually, here in Barrie, Base Borden, we're reintroducing the program there. A lot of families, when your father and mother are going off to war, you may never see them again.
Right.
That is a loss.
That
That's
is true,
huge.
yeah.
Or even relocating
Yeah.
your family to another location, base to base. There's a
Yeah.
loss because the dynamics for a child has changed, and research has proven and shown that if children if their behavior has not been addressed and they're not in a good place, then the mental health issues happen down the road.
Yeah, it
And
starts
this is where
developing, yeah.
Rainbows is more the preventative. And
Right.
if we can help children now, then it will help them later on in life when
Right,
they have
so-
those
Yeah.
mental.
So your recommendation is any family that's experiencing any kind of separation or loss they jump right into this. This is not something to stall on, right?
Well, normally Rainbows, I believe, it does seem to work after 4 or 5 months. I mean, at any time. Some children
Yeah.
want to just jump right in. Some children, it takes a year. I think it depends on the family and the situation. But normally, I believe Rainbows does work by 4 to 6 months. It seems to be the best.
It's good to get in quickly. However, we do have families who didn't know about Rainbows 5, 8, maybe even 10 years ago, and now they want to put their child in at a later point, and that's good too.
That's totally good too. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually a good point. That it's not if you don't get in right away, it doesn't mean that it's over. I
No.
mean,
And Rainbows,
healing is at any point, right?
and
Exactly.
Rainbows, you can go into the program anytime you want. So
What
it's
age
not just-
groups do we deal with?
Well, in the Collingwood area, we run 5 through 17.
Okay.
So children as young as 5, but we group the children by age. So
Okay.
we put 5 and 6-year-olds together,
Right.
7, 8-year-olds together, and
Similar
so
ages,
on.
yeah.
And so we have the teen program as well. So kids can continue through Rainbows and go through the teen program as Jessica did.
Right, and Jessica, tell us about what the process is. So like when you attended Rainbows, exactly like.
So I started at 11, and I was, as Karen remembers, very stubborn. My first day there, I sat there with my arm crossed, and I didn't talk. I was furious at my mother for bringing me.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a problem. I was fine. And, it takes you time to warm up. I knew I wasn't alone. I did have friends that had parents that had separated, but, my dad had gained his freedom, as he likes to say sometimes. So they got married really young. And so he was off living his life, and I was still a part of it, but I wasn't as big a part of as big as a part of it as I had been. And that was what I was struggling with. That was my biggest issue. So it was nice to sit down there. We had booklets. I should have brought them. I didn't even. I gapped. You get booklets. You go through different exercises. Some days we just talked. Some days we just sat and talked, and we would color and we would do things. As you get older, I went through 3 stages or 4 stages. I'm not sure with going into Spectrum, which is the teen program.
Okay.
Once you're in the teen program, it's a little more us oriented. Like we kind of controlled where the conversation went, whereas when you're younger, they try and every week that you go has a different theme and meaning.
Right.
The Spectrum program did too, but it was more how we wanted to shape
Yeah,
it.
it was driven by you
Yes.
more. Yeah.
And then my mom did the PRISM program, which is the adult program, and she loved it. It was
Right.
really good for her.
Tell us about the adult program.
So the adults are grouped of 6 to 8 adults in each group, parents. mums and dads together. We do tend to have mainly mums who want to sign up, but we love it when we get the dads in there too.
Yeah, dads are an important part.
Yeah, and sometimes people will say, I'd like to join PRISM, but I don't want to talk. I just want to sit and listen. And we say, that's okay. You can just come and sit and listen. And I've seen moms who, they wouldn't even bring their chair into the circle. They would sit on a chair off in the corner and just sit and cry for an hour and listen to the other parents talk. And then they might do that for several weeks, and then finally one week they'll just bring their chair in and then they'll
So it's
start
kind of like
sharing.
a circle group kind of thing.
And sometimes children are like that too. Like Jessica said, she didn't share at first. She just sat there with her arms folded and a look on her face. Yeah, and that's okay. We don't force the children to share. We encourage them to share, but everyone shares when they're ready.
Right.
Well, in one of the prisons, this is a story about a mother who unfortunately life took her to jail. She was a young mother, and unfortunately, I guess in prison, I guess they had the Rainbows program, and for I don't know how many weeks, her back would be to the circle. Never wanted to participate. One day she turned around and she was ready to talk, and everything came out.
It's amazing.
And it was the first after how many weeks, the sister actually, she was a nun, could not believe how she finally opened up.
That's
And she
great.
shared a secret that when she was 20, something happened tragically in her life, and it took all those years, and she was 55.
It's crazy how that
So
you know,
even
you
as-
got to get over that hump to be able to open up, right? And that this program really takes people and opens them up, you know, even if like if they're closed at first,
When
but
they're
it
ready.
encourages them when they're ready.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about grieving children, children who have experienced a death. Is that different, or is there a different process for those children?
Well, they're all going through grief.
Right.
And typically they're all holding it in, and instead of talking about what they're going through, they act out. So then we find out they're acting out at home, they're causing problems, there's problems at school, there's problems with friends. So at Rainbows, we want to teach the children to talk and share their feelings and express them through coloring, artwork, and so on, instead of acting it out in ways that aren't appropriate and that cause problems.
The people who are facilitating this, the teachers or are they trained people or?
Yeah, so it's a program that can be used by anybody. We do have a lot of retired teachers who do Rainbows, but you certainly don't have to be. It can be anyone from any walk of life who cares about children, is compassionate.
Great.
It's 1 day of training.
Nice.
And people sometimes say, well, how does 1 day of training qualify me to work with grieving children? It's because it's a very structured program that we follow.
Very nice. And Brenda, can you tell us, how is this funded? Is there any charge?
No, it's free to the family. So Rainbows, we fundraise. We do not receive any funding from the government.
Oh, wow.
No, foundation. So we do apply for grants.
Okay.
Being the director of communications, we have special events, fundraisers. We have 2 fundraising events. One actually, September 3rd, we're having our Dash of Color. So from those funds that we raise, we're able to subsidize half the program and the other half the site subsidized. So it's free to the families.
And now we're going to talk about, for our last little bit, we're going to talk about the exiting of the program. We always love to hear the positive when the children have gone through what they've gone through and they're now ready to leave the program and they're back to normal. So what happens at the end of the program? We have some pictures we're going to show, and maybe we can talk about the pictures. So there's, that's so cute.
Yeah. So on the final day, one of the girls drew that for her facilitator, and that was just wanted her to take that home. So I took a picture of it.
She really appreciated what she.
Yes, and it's amazing. A lot of the kids do draw rainbows. They'll come in, they'll draw rainbows week after week, and they'll give it to their facilitator and want them to take it home. And they get a teddy bear on the last day of rainbows.
So nice.
And and we can't take pictures of the children's faces, so that's why you
No, that's
see their
okay. So there's some more of the teddy bears.
Yes.
And so what else happens at this exit party?
So each of the groups usually do a little skit, a song, a poem. We have forgiveness activities. We have pizza. We have cake, and there's going to be a picture of the cake. Sometimes there's a special artwork that's happened. And
We used to come up with different skits and things to do for
Celebrate Me Day. That's so
day.
amazing.
Yeah. And
That's great.
Yeah, so we're there to celebrate each and every one of
And
the
relationships, I think, too, are lasting relationships. I don't know for yourself, Jessica, if you had develop friendships and that.
did for sure.
Yeah.
Some of my mom's best friends are the women that she met in Prism, and they to this day are very close. And my mom became a facilitator afterwards as well.
She did.
Amazing.
Yes.
So this program is really helping people.
Yeah.
So for the viewers out there who want to find out more about Rainbows for All Children Canada, we've put the information on the screen, and I really hope that anyone who feels that they need this program can get involved, because it sounds like it's amazing, and it sounds like it really is a positive thing for children
really
out
works.
there.
It really does.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
When we get back, we're going to go out into the community and do something fun. So we'll see you when we get back on Mommy Talk. The views in the following program reflect those of the participants and not necessarily of Rogers or Rogers TV. Welcome back to Mommy Talk. One of the things we love to do is to go out into the community and take our kids somewhere fun and spend time together. So we checked out a place that's really yummy. We checked out Menchie's at Blue Mountain here local. So let's take a look at some of the pictures. There's Esri. She's having her frozen yogurt. So she's got a big smile on her face. Menchie's is really interesting, actually. I found out a lot of really cool things. They use 100% Canadian milk. They don't use any powdered product. So that's a really interesting fact, you know, when it comes to health and quality. Here you can see the yogurt bar. They have, at one time, they always have 12 different flavors at one time. And it often rotates for the flavors of the season or whatever. They also have the snackage, it's called, which is the toppings. It's all sorts of candy and chocolate and all sorts of toppings that you can put on. This wall here is the wall of fame, I suppose you could say. All the famous people around who've visited a Menchie's all around. Menchie's is a chain, so there's a lot of them everywhere. This is a facts chart just about the Menchie's product itself. They are peanut free and very allergy aware. So if you go in there and you have an allergy issue, you can tell them and they can direct you in the right direction to what you can eat. This is the last picture of it, and this is our syrups and toppings that we can put on there. And here's Esri. She's gonna enjoy her ice cream. They are also kosher certified, and they have a beautiful patio up at Blue Mountain Village. So visit Menchie's and go get a yummy ice cream. Thank you so much for being on the show. We had a really great talk today, and I loved hearing about the Rainbows program. I think it's very beneficial for our children to know if anybody needs to take advantage of the program. Thank you so much for being on the show, and thanks for sharing your experiences. Thanks for joining us on Mommy Talk, and you can find us on Facebook and Twitter, and we'll see you next time on Mommy Talk.